everybody, hello and welcome. Today it's a back to school day. Sorry guys, I'm going to sound really teachy, I know, but I can't help it. So it's come to light that many of us, I watch loads of YouTube videos, as you know, and a common thread throughout it all is that people end up with some figure that they need to halve, or they need to take a couple of inches off, or whatever, and they just struggle to work out what the measurement is. Well, I'm going to give you a fail-safe way of knowing what we need to do. We work in eighths as a general rule as junk journalers, and this is borne out by the fact that this board and a lot of the cutting boards that you can get come in eighths. The eighths are marked here, and the eighths are marked here on this Timmy ruler that I use all the time. So the inches are clearly marked, but the little lines in between them, what do they mean? What's that about? Well, let's have a look and see what it's about. I have here a table, and I bet you can tell that I did not do it. It's a Mr. F special. So let's just look at this to start with. Here we have 1 inch. I've just blown it up. You know, obviously that doesn't measure 1 inch. For the purposes of this, along here is 1 inch. Okay? Now, when you talk about an eighth, what does that mean? Well, it means that we've split the inch, the whole inch, into 8 equal parts. Okay? So you have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, down to 8/8, which is the inch. And each one of these that we've just gone through is equal to the other one. This first bit here is equal to that bit there. We've split the inch into 8 equal, totally equal parts. But some of these measurements we know by a different name. So the 2/8, which is here, is 1/4 of the way along this line, and it is 1/4 of an inch. So 2/8 is the same as 1/4. Then when you get to here, we've got 4/8. We've got 4 parts of the 8 that we split our original inch into. So if we've got 4 parts, we've got half of it. So there we are. It's half. It's a half an inch. So 4/8 equals half an inch. I'll come back to that. If we wanted 3/4 of an inch, how many eighths is that? Well, 8/8 is a complete inch, and 3/4 of 8 is 6. So 6/8 is 3/4 of an inch. And this table tells us that very concisely. You can just look at that and you know 2/8 is 1/4 of an inch, 4/8 is a half inch, 6/8 is 3/4 of an inch, and when you get to 8/8 you've got a whole inch. Okay, so let's move on to the bottom part of this, which is quite interesting. So what I've done here is I've got 6 inches in total. That bit goes on there, but you know, the screen isn't wide enough, so you just have to remember that this bit follows onto there. Okay, so we've split each inch into the eighths again, so each inch is in 8 equal parts. So when you come to 1/8, 1 inch here, you've got 8/8, same as we had here, 8/8. It would be the same if we'd split it into hundreds. 100 hundredths would be an inch. 20 twentieths would be an inch. 8/8 is an inch. So here we've got our inch and we've got the 8/8. We know that that's right. But what happens if we want to measure more than an inch? I mean, it's usual that we would be measuring for more than an inch. Let's say we want to measure 2 3/4 inches. So we go to 2 and we go to 3/4, it's 22/8. Now, 2 3/4 is the common way that you would refer to that. 2 3/4, we all know what that looks like. But supposing that you wanted to take off 5/8 of an inch off 2 3/4. So you've got 2 3/4 and you want to take away 5/8. Okay, so I'm here with my 2 3/4 and I want to take away 5/8. So I count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives me my 2 inches and 1/8 of an inch to one of these sections. Okay, now you could probably more easily work that out by saying I've got 2 3/4 inches and I want to take away 5/8. What is 2 3/4 inches? So have a look at it in eighths. It's 22/8. Now I want to take away 5/8. So there's my 22/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 17/8. We can look at it there on the table itself and see that it's 2 inches plus one of these sections, so it's 2 1/8. So we can measure that. Let's say it's a common thing for me to have 5.5 inches. For some reason I always end up there and I want to half it. I don't know how many times, even during a live, I'll say to Mr. F, what's half of 5.5? Well, let's have a look. 5.5 is 44/8. 44/8. You never think of it like that, but that is in fact what it is. 5.5 is 44/8. So if I want to half that, I just half the top one, 22, and bring the eighth over. So it's 22/8 instead of 44/8. So that's half. And then I'll look up what 22 is. 22 brings me to here. So that's 2 3/4. So half of where I was at originally, which was my 5.5. So I'll just, this is how it works. I'm measuring something, it comes to 5.5. What's half of 5.5, Mr. F? So look at your table, it's 44/8. Half that is 22. 22/8. Look along at your table and it is 2 3/4. So you need to measure 2 3/4, which is half of your 5.5. Let's say that we had 4 3/4 and we wanted to half that. So there's 4, there's 3/4, so that's 38/8. So half of that, I would just half that, which is 19/8. Right. So here we are, there's 19/8 there, exactly there. So it's 2 1/4 and 1/8. This is starting to get a bit tricky. We need to look at what else a quarter is. So going back to this massive inch on the top, a quarter is 2/8. So my 19/8 is 2 plus the quarter plus 1/8. Now the quarter, it tells us here, is 2/8. So that's 2 plus 2/8 plus the 1/8. So it's 2 plus 3/8. So that's the solution to that problem there, of what is half of 4 3/4 inches, which could be a tricky one to work out in your head. But it is actually 2 3/8, which brings us there to 19/8. So all you really need to know is other ways that we call normal fractions. So we would say a quarter rather than 2/8. but it's the same thing. This little table up here tells you it's the same thing. 3/8, we don't call that anything else. We just know it as 3/8. But if you wanted to halve that, you'd find you've got a little bit of a problem, because that would be 1.5/8, and we don't have half eights. We've only got full numbers. And if you want to half that number, 3/8 for example, you need to split your inch into more divisions, like this. Now this is the same inch, but this time we've split it into 16ths. So there's our inch, there's the 16/16ths. As I said to you, if it was split into 20, it would be 20/20ths, whatever. However many parts you've split it into, when you've got them all, you've got your inch. The half inch here tells us on the bottom that's half an inch, and it's 8/16ths, 8 being half of 16. So we've got 8/16ths along there to the halfway mark, and we've got 8/16ths along there. 8/16ths is the same as 4/8, because it tells us here's our half inch, it's 4/8, okay, which happens to be the same as 2/4. Now fourths we haven't talked about very much. It is literally you're splitting your inch into fourths. That's the number on the bottom. That's how many parts you've got out of your inch. So there's your inch. There's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and your 4/4, which is your inch. So when you look down, 1/4 here, oh, that's a quarter. That's how we refer to that. 1/4. It's a quarter. And here we've got 2/4, which is perfectly legitimate. That's a perfectly okay way to refer to it, but we more commonly refer to it as a half, because we've got 4 pieces and we've got two of the 4 pieces, so we've got half of it. So we refer to that as half an inch. And the 3/4, we've got 3 of the 4 pieces. We refer to that as 3/4. So this table here is really, really helpful. It tells us how we refer normally to measurements that we have, and they are the ones that are written in red here. Now on the top we've got some red numbers as well, so that must be how we commonly refer to these. What are they? Well, as I said, we've split the inch into 16 parts. Now this one we split into 8, so we must have twice as many if we've split it into 16, which indeed is exactly correct. So what did I say originally? If we had 3/8, what's half of 3/8? Well, let's have a look up here what 3/8 is. 3/8 is 6/16. That 6/16 sounds odd. It's not something you've probably ever said out loud in your head before, but 3/8, the table clearly tells us, is 6/16. So half of 6/16 would be 3/16. So let's have a look there, 3/16. And that's how it's referred to. It's in red. There's no other title for it, no other name for it. It's just known as 3/16. So if you have a ruler that has lots and lots of lines on, they probably are 16ths. It's not something we bother with awfully with junk journaling. For example, my trimmer doesn't measure in 16ths. I don't know if yours does, but mine certainly doesn't. And I get by day on 16ths. They're on 8s. They're pretty much all you need to know. The only time, as I say, that you need to know them is if you're trying to half something that's a bit awkward. You might have to go down to 16ths, but then you'd have to measure it. So your measuring would have to be pretty accurate. But let's say we've got 5/8 and we want to half that. So we've got 5/8. Let's look above and see. Yeah, 5/8. I can see that there. and that is 10/16. 10/16. Now let's say I want to half that, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to half 5/8. So I've got 10/16. Half of that is 5/16. I've halved the 10. So I've got 5/16. So come along here. That's the half. That's the measurement I had. That's the half there. And you can see that's right. This is written in red. There's no other name for it. It is just literally 5/16. Okay. So I think that's enough. I think we've covered enough today that you can quite easily get on. If you want to screenshot these, I will get that in the right position, which is about where? Is that going to fit in the screen? About there. So if you want to, it's not all going to fit in, is it? I want you to be able to get these numbers in here along the bottom. And you can't see that inch at the top.
2 screenshots.
Yeah. He's right. Of course he's right. He's always right. Streph's always right. Yeah. Take a screenshot now, and that is your 8th. That's the 8th one, with all the common parlance, as you might say. So screenshot that. That's your 8ths. And you can see that easily because they're written out in 8ths. Okay, so screenshot, are you done? Have you got it? And the next screenshot is this piece here. I'll just put a bit of paper over there, and then I won't confuse the issue. Yeah, this one that's got all, they're only small, but I'm sure they will help you when you get up to larger measurements, up to 6 inches. So screenshot that, and like I say, for example, let's say you've just one more before we go. Let's say I've got 5 1/4, and I want to take 3/4 of an inch off it. Okay, so I've got 5 1/4, and I want to minus 3/4 of an inch. So how do I go about that? What is 5 1/4? 5 1/4 is 42/8. Sounds a little unlikely, but that is what it is. Minus 3/4. Well, there's the 3/4. That's 6/8. Yeah, 6/8. So what's 42 minus 6? 36. 36/8. So let's have a look along the thing. Where's 36? There it is. So it's 4 inches and a half. So 4 1/2 inches is 36/8. So 5 1/4 minus 3/4. Your table easily tells you it's 4 1/2. Okay, so that's that one. And if you want to, here's the 16th one. If you want to really be a swot. There you go, if you want to take a shot of that. It's quite handy because all the common way that we would express it is written in red. So there you go, screenshot that, and that is your homework, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. So I hope that you learnt something from it. If there's things that are unclear, please let me know, and I can correct them and put a new different video out if you think it's not very clear, or I can help you in any way. So thanks for watching. Catch you soon. Bye. Just pop back again just to tell you that if you don't know how to screenshot, or your device doesn't allow it, these will be available to download on the Buy Me a Coffee site. The links are below. No obligation at all to buy a coffee. You can just find them there. It's a handy place for me to put them for you to download. So I'm off now, definitely. Bye.